Have you ever had a bad experience trying to buy concert tickets to see your favorite artist? Well, you're not alone. And after the recent chaos of fans trying to secure seats to see Taylor Swift, it makes sense that everyone is starting to figure out what the real problem is: Ticketmaster. The company is getting a lot of heat at the moment, and for good reason. So let's get into it. I'm your host Bridget Shields, and here are the top 10 Ticketmaster red flags we should have noticed. Number 10, the Eras Tour. If you've been on the internet recently, then you'll have probably heard about the Ticketmaster disaster that happened with Taylor Swift's The Eras Tour pre-sale. Basically, over 3.5 million people registered to get a pre-sale code from Ticketmaster's verified fan system, but only 1.5 million fans were sent codes to access the pre-sale. The company then said that due to bot attacks, as well as fans who didn't have codes, they reported that 3.5 billion total system requests were recorded during the pre-sale. As a result, fans were stuck for hours and the website itself was frozen or kept crashing at checkout. In the end, 2.4 million tickets were sold during the pre-sale alone. Ticketmaster then cancelled the general sale due to what they called insufficient remaining ticket inventory to meet that demand. Essentially, the verified fan system is meant to ensure that fans get their hands on tickets before bots and resellers do. But shortly after the pre-sale, tickets began popping up on ticket resale websites for ridiculous amounts of money. Number 9, scalping. It's been proven time and time again that Ticketmaster facilitates price gouging by encouraging scalping. The company actually runs a secondary ticket market called Ticketmaster Resale, where they charge a second, more lucrative fee in addition to the fee on the primary ticket market. So by allowing scalpers to buy up the majority of tickets, Ticketmaster can essentially assess a second fee on consumers who missed out on the initial sale of concert tickets. Fans were shocked earlier this year when tickets to Harry Styles' concert went from the regularly priced $200 to over $1,000 at his tour's only Canadian stop, which prompted fans to start a petition pleading for cheaper options. Not to mention the recent Taylor Swift tickets, which have now been priced at tens of thousands of dollars on resale websites. For instance, for the show at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey, they're now listed for as much as $21,600 on StubHub. Not to mention that floor tickets for her show in Atlanta are listed for as much as $35,000. Number 8, the investigation. It was announced this week that the Justice Department has opened an antitrust investigation into the owner of Ticketmaster after the sale of Taylor Swift concert tickets descended into chaos. The investigation is set to focus on whether or not Ticketmaster's parent company, Live Nation Entertainment, has misused its power over the multi-billion-dollar industry. The Justice Department's antitrust division has recently contacted music venues and participants in the ticket industry to learn more about Live Nation's methods. In fact, Tennessee's Attorney General Jonathan Scrimetti said that he is launching a separate investigation called a Consumer Protection Investigation into them. He said he's concerned that the company lacks competition, and with that, customers are left with sky-high prices and a poor experience. He also questioned Ticketmaster's lack of preparation and said that given the company's size, they should have been ready for the unprecedented demand from Taylor Swift's fans. Number 7, Shady Practices. Ticketmaster has been able to get away with all sorts of things due to lack of competition. They can refuse to share how many tickets are sold and at what price or how many are available, which allows them to create artificial scarcity. Not only that, but they can also get away with hiding many fees on top of the ticket price and not showing them until after you select the tickets. In fact, the company has frequently lobbied against transparency laws that would require them to explain these extra costs to buyers. Then there's the so-called dynamic pricing, which is a relatively new system used by Ticketmaster that sets prices based on demand. So the more people waiting in line for tickets, the higher the prices go. They'll label these dynamically priced tickets as platinum seating, and even though the name suggests a great location, these seats can in fact be located anywhere in a venue. For certain shows, the company will simply reserve a number of tickets to have a price that can fluctuate higher or lower based on demand. Number 6, no competition. In 2010, Ticketmaster purchased Live Nation, which runs a ton of event venues and has an artist management business. So basically, anytime Ticketmaster had any kind of competition, they would just buy it out, which is why they have no rivals to this day. The Justice Department did approve the merger of Ticketmaster and Live Nation, although that decision brought about a lot of criticism at the time, considering that it created a giant in the industry that still has no equals in its reach or power. The merger was met with pushback from several environmental activist groups, and artists like Bruce Springsteen, who was upset at Ticketmaster for steering his fans towards its own secondary platform. And so in 2009, he wrote a letter to his fans saying, "The one thing that would make the current ticket situation even worse for the fan than it is now would be Ticketmaster and Live Nation coming up with a single system, thereby returning us to a near monopoly situation in music ticketing." Number 5. Pearl Jam's protest. In 1994, America's most powerful rock band swore off using the ticketing giant during their summer tour. They were committed to ending the hidden costs passed on to their fans, so Pearl Jam laid down guidelines for their upcoming tour, which was to be a $1.80 service fee clearly spelled out on top of the $18 tickets. To put that into perspective, Ticketmaster was used to charging a service fee that was 2 or 3 times that amount. Essentially, the band wanted to put their principles ahead of payday, so they decided to tour without using Ticketmaster, but eventually they found it too difficult and returned to the service after only 14 months. Although their protest did fail, they filed an antitrust complaint against Ticketmaster, which ended up triggering a federal investigation into the company. In response, a spokesperson from the company said, "Getting attacked by a superstar rock band is a lot like being accused of kicking your dog. There's a general presumption of guilt until proven innocent." But until Pearl Jam raised the issue, Ticketmaster's exclusive contracts were essentially invisible to consumers. Number 4. The criticism. Artists have long been critical of Ticketmaster and their problematic behavior, but after the Taylor Swift fiasco, the dominoes really started falling. Congressman David Cecilian tweeted, "Ticketmaster's excessive wait times and fees are completely unacceptable, as seen with today's Taylor Swift tickets, and are a symptom of a larger problem. It's no secret that Live Nation Ticketmaster is an unchecked monopoly." Then Ilhan Omar tweeted, "Break up Ticketmaster," and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez also slammed the company, writing, "Daily reminder that Ticketmaster is a monopoly. Its merger with Live Nation should never have been approved, and they need to get it reined in. Break them up." And let's not forget when John Oliver described Ticketmaster as one of the most hated companies on earth, and he called out its high prices and scarce availability on his Late Show. In general, the approach that the company has taken on its ruthless journey to dominance has caused endless controversy. Number 3. The settlement. As recently as 2019, the Competition Bureau ordered Ticketmaster to pay a penalty of $4.5 million for misleading customers on online ticket sales. The news comes after the Bureau found Ticketmaster's advertised prices did not at all reflect the true cost to the consumer, because they added fees later in the process that in some cases added more than 65% to the cost. So essentially the initial prices were misleading, despite consumers seeing the additional fees before completing their transaction. Then ironically, that same year, the Department of Justice found that Ticketmaster had been violating the terms of the settlement by forcing venues to accept their services as a condition for hosting Live Nation performers and retaliating against those that refused. So despite the fact that they had to fork out millions of dollars in the settlement, the company continues to be as shady as ever, and they went straight back to their unethical practices. Number 2. Artists speaking out. Both musicians and fans have been outraged with Ticketmaster for decades. Many have tried to take them down, but to no avail. One of the most notable examples was in 1994, when Pearl Jam's guitarist Stone Gossard said, "It is well known in our industry that some portion of the service charges Ticketmaster collects on its sale of tickets is distributed back to its promoters and the venues. It is this incestuous relationship and the lack of any national competition for Ticketmaster that has created the situation we're dealing with today." Bruce Springsteen also came out against the company in 2009. At the time, his fans complained that when they were trying to buy tickets at face value on the website, they were then directed to a subsidiary site, with tickets listed by resellers at hundreds of dollars more than their original price. In response, the singer's team released a statement condemning the company. Following his response, many other artists have since spoken out against their ridiculous fees. And coming in at number 1, pressure on live music. We know that the prices for concert tickets constantly seem to be on the rise. In a 2011 interview, the ex-CEO of Ticketmaster, Fred Rosen, explained that as the internet became a bigger part of people's lives, the amount and speed at which sites could sell tickets exploded. That, combined with a number of industry changes that forced artists to rely on live music way more than record sales, ended up transforming concerts into the expensive industry that they are today. Rosen said, "It used to be you made the record and toured to support the record. Now you tour to make money, because pricing has caught up with value, and the albums don't sell on the same level." So with that said, it's clear that now more than ever, the pressure to make money is being placed on touring rather than records. So the game has essentially changed, and the result is ridiculously high fees for concert goers. Well, that's everything that we have on the list for today. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll catch you in the next video.